Max, what is going on? Thank you for jumping on today. We doing a mentee success interview with Max. He is an absolute beast when it comes to the agency. And hopefully, we do these videos to inspire aspiring agency owners and show them that it's possible, show them with time and with hard work, what the level that you can eventually get to. So I've been working with Max here for, man, almost definitely over a half year at this point. But I
Yeah,
don't want to make it, but let's start out from the very beginning, Max. Ultimately, when did you get into SMMA? How did you get into SMMA? How did the whole thing start for you?
yeah. I'm super stoked to be here and just have loved working with you, Terrence.
Thank you, bro. Thank
Yeah,
you.
back to the very beginning. So I actually worked at a marketing agency as a second generation digital marketer. So I worked for my dad's marketing agency, and
Okay. Okay.
he's just he's crushed it in his career. And he worked as a CMO at a big company. And then when I was like 18 years old, he branched off and just wanted to start his own agency. So he got a lot of experience, and he
Okay.
brought
Okay.
me
So
on
so it's
as
in the family. It's actually in
it
the
runs in the
family.
family. It runs in the
Cool.
family for sure.
Cool. Cool.
So,
Cool.
um, so he brought me on just because I have done a little bit with like music production and video production. So he brought me on as a creative when he started his agency, and it was just like four of us. We had three clients. It was four people. He was charging super high ticket, and I watched that agency grow from four people to like I think it was like 30 people when I left over the span of like a year and a half, 2 years. So they scaled the team pretty quickly. Their client model or their acquisition model was such where they just take on a few clients with massive retainers and massive upside. And so it's just a little bit different than what I run. But I married a videographer, and
Mm,
we both started creating content on TikTok, just making like fun couples content, and
mm.
uh, basically that started to blow up while I was working at the agency. And my wife in 1 month had accumulated like 20 million views on her TikTok page, and I'm over here like spending tons of money on ads for the clients that I was working with at my dad's agency, and we weren't even reaching a fraction of the amount of people that my wife just reached on accident on TikTok. And so I just saw this opportunity of like, hey, look, we could probably start a short form content agency helping businesses recreate these results. We have a really good case study with my wife that could like really propel us into creating this agency. So started taking on some clients on the side. Um,
While
as
you were
soon as
still
my
while so you were still doing working with your pops, but then on the side, kind of thought. And I think you were really smart. I think in 2024, 2025, I think you really want to consider going with a content agency compared to an advertising agency, and I think that was a really good move to go the content route. So, okay,
yeah,
okay. So you started your own thing, got a few clients on the side.
yeah, so this was like end of 2022. Um, started taking those clients on the side, and I agree. Like it was just a really hot time where people were blowing up on TikTok, and it was like this can change your life, and so which it can, but you've got to be really good at it. So
Yeah.
um, we had kind of created a unique value proposition in the market to be able to do that. We had the track record with my wife's page. We scored a few clients, and once my income had exceeded what I was making at my dad's agency, I kind of nudged my dad. I was like, "Look, um, this thing, like, I think I should jump in." And he was super supportive. He was like, "Yeah, dude, like, go all in." The last thing,
Cool.
the biggest regret that I had was not jumping in and going all in on my business earlier in life, because this was really his first business that he started, and he's in his late 40s.
Mm, mm.
Um, and so I was like, all right, I don't want to make that same mistake. Let's go all in. So my wife and I went all in. at the like middle of 2023, um, or sorry, this is back middle of 2022, excuse me. So
Okay.
prior date was 2021 when I had started taking on clients. I left the agency at 2022 and then had grown the agency for about a year.
Hmm.
And that's where I met Terrence, and we were bouncing between like 40 and $60,000 months.
So that
Um,
okay, before we get into that,
yeah,
did you scaled your agency all the way up to around 50K without any mentor, no coaching? You did that completely on your own just from the experience you had with your pops? Or did you just do that on your own? Or did you invest in any coaching or mentorship before you and I had met, before you got involved with
yeah,
my program?
yeah, good call. So I had invested in two other programs. Um,
Okay.
I think,
We don't need to, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessary to even say what programs, but I was just
no,
curious
yeah,
because
yeah, yeah,
it's
for
pretty
sure.
rare. Just again, this is to help someone who's, maybe hasn't even gotten their first client yet.
Yeah,
And what you'll typically find is that anyone who's even gotten to 10K, anyone who's gotten to 50K, there's usually 9 times out of 10 been some sort of mentor, some sort of coaching program
for
involved.
sure.
So when you jumped in to
Oh,
do
dude.
your own agency, you probably got some assistance, probably got some help, had some sort of coaching program. And then, when you and I had met, we were able to just build off of where you already were and get you to the 7 figure level. But
Yeah,
it's normal to have a lot of like me, my first year and a half of being an entrepreneur and building my very first agency. I invested over $100,000 into different
hmm,
tons of different programs, so I think,
yep,
a lot of people, the courses and the gurus will rub people the wrong way, but the reality is it's beneficial. You'll never meet, it's very rare to meet someone who doesn't have that guidance, who doesn't have that mentorship.
yeah,
Um, so I think that's an important piece to touch on as you invested in many, many different coaches, many different programs. And then let's talk about kind of when you hopped on with me, you found me on an advertisement. We jumped on a call.
hmm,
You were hovering at around $50,000 revenue months already. And then
yeah.
talk about that experience because it was like the alignment was just there. Like the
Oh,
timing was
yeah.
perfect. So talk about that experience and just kind of what went down there because it was a pretty special thing that happened with you.
Yeah, 100%. I want to just touch on the coaching too, because like I would 100% agree that the number one thing you should do the second you start making money in your business is reinvest into coaching because you are
Mm-hmm.
the bottleneck as the entrepreneur and you need to develop either in your mindset or your skill set needs to develop. Those are the two things that you need to constantly be pushing. And a lot of times you can't do that unless you have a coach come in or a mentor that you pay. If you do it for free, it doesn't feel valuable enough. It feels too easy, but if you
Mm.
pay for it, then you're more likely to implement it. At least in my experience. I've had a lot of free coaches, and in fact, my dad has been a free coach to me, but I would say the courses that I paid for, every $1,000 I have invested in a course, I have made 10,000 a month reoccurring more because I invested in that course. And that's the same case with your course. And the courses prior to were awesome, but yours really helped me get to the next level, which was a hard barrier for me to break. And so
Yeah,
I feel like that's, anytime you're stuck at a certain revenue level, dude, like get a coach, like find a
100%,
good coach.
100%, 100%. Cool, cool. So
So
you jumped on, yeah, you jumped
yeah,
on, and yeah, break it down. Because it was you had a 15K per month client, and that gave you kind of a major sense of security in terms of that was reliable revenue for you. You could pay for your team, pay for your staff, and you had quite the team. So to lose that 15K client was quite the hit, considering that you had a lot of costs for the agency. It's not like it's 50, $40,000, $50,000 of straight profit. So, um, yeah, just talk about your experience with the program. How are we
Yeah,
able to kind of turn the agency around for you? Yeah.
yeah, totally. So, like Terrence said, when we approached, when I found Terrence through his paid ads, which I loved his ads. I'd seen them all over, and I was like, all right, this guy obviously knows what he's doing with paid ads. So, click on the ad, book the appointment. Um, Terrence hit me with the sale, and I was like, okay, this guy really knows what he's doing. I honestly
Mhm.
like. I kind of just jumped in to funnel hack you a little bit to just like see what your process was, but ended
Sure.
up really vibing with Terrence and felt like he would be a really good mentor of mine because he was a few steps ahead of me, handful of steps ahead of me, and like that's where I wanted to get. And so signed up. Like I said, we're doing between $40,000 to $60,000 months with maybe like 25 to $30,000 expenses. So pretty expensive agency to run. And it was almost right when I had joined with Terrence. My wife and I just had a baby, and uh, client literally 3 days after we just had the kid, our 15K per month client left. So we went from about $50,000 a month down to 45,000. We had a 5K per month client leave, and then I think we had like another maybe two clients leave, and it was all unrelated. They hadn't like talked
Yeah,
together and were
it's
like, hey, we're all
normal.
gonna
Yeah.
leave.
It's the
It just
nature of the
happened.
business. It's the nature of the business. No one's gonna, no agencies have 100% retention.
Yep.
Because it's outside of your control. It's probably, the reason they didn't move forward a lot of times has nothing to do, like you said, has nothing to do with the agency. It has everything to do with things that are happening personally with them or things that are happening inside of their business. Um, okay, cool, 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 cool.
Yeah. So I was like sitting here thinking, okay, we just lost 20. It was like 20 to $30,000 a month of reoccurring revenue, and I've got 20,000, 20 to $30,000 worth of expenses. Like, if I don't make some moves really quickly, then if this doesn't work, like we're toast. And so a few weeks prior, I had signed up for Terrence's program. We had started making the ads. Terrence had given me a lot of guidance on the creative that I should use. He looked over my scripts. He watched the videos that I had created and edited, and we were running on TikTok at this time, and we launched the campaign. And it was like from there, every week I started getting better and better at the sales. I think I didn't. I don't know if I closed on the first week. Maybe it was like the second or third week I started closing deals.
Yeah, well, yeah, we
But
hopped. Yeah, we hopped on. We actually jumped on Zoom. We built out the campaign together, and
yep,
before we so basically what we were able to do is we were able to set up, which is very very valuable to an agency, a predictable acquisition system that isn't dependent upon any referrals. And it's not dependent on. It's a predictable acquisition system. You put money in, you get booked calls, and as long as you can confidently close, you're gonna get a great ROI on that. So before this, what was your acquisition strategies? What how you weren't doing anything with paid ads, so how did you actually get to 50K before you got involved with the program and we got the paid acquisition system built out for you?
yeah, it was pretty much all word of mouth and cold
Gotcha,
DM. We were running
gotcha.
a little bit of Facebook ads, but they weren't producing like the type of clientele that we were looking for. And that was really just geared towards like our offer and like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that was the cause of our offer. So Terrence helped me like really create the offer and like he said, get that predictable client stream coming through. And dude, when we launched, like I was shocked at the numbers. The cost per lead was like $10 a lead.
Yeah,
Cost per appointment was like $30, which is super low. And
yeah.
people were showing up. Like this was around the end of the year, and I think a lot of people were like really pushing towards um, like hitting their Q4 goals and getting ready for the new year too. So it's like perfect timing. The stars aligned, and also like I had this big loss in the company and my back against the wall. Like honestly, Terrence's program saved our agency because we did
Mm,
not have a consistent stream of income, or
mm,
stream of clients coming in, and it was not predictable. It was just here and there, whoever came across the table, really. Um, and then fast forward, it took from October, November, December, January, February. It was in February we did our first, I want to say it was like February or March. We did our first like seven-figure run rate month. It's like 86
nice.
grand and
Nice.
cash
That is
collected.
awesome.
And so that was kind of the path where we, came in at 50 grand a month and then went down to like 35,
25.
$40,000 a month. Yeah,
Yeah.
like really dropped in revenue there, and then bounced
Mm,
back and doubled our monthly recurring revenue through these TikTok ads that Terrence taught us
awesome.
to do. So it's
Awesome.
like life changing for sure.
Besides the getting up the paid acquisition, getting up the paid ads, where what other areas do you think that I've been able to help out? But maybe sales abilities, making the back end a bit more scalable. What other areas do you think that we've been able to improve upon?
Yeah. The sales thing was huge because you can generate a bunch of leads and you could be really good at marketing and creative, but if you can't close the deals, then it doesn't mean anything. So
Yeah.
you got to close the deals. So
You'll be
Terrence, like,
wasting you'll have a full calendar, but you'll just be wasting a ton of money because you
oh yeah,
ultimately won't be able to close them. So yeah, man,
ton of
that
money.
I think a lot of people don't put enough emphasis on that, and so, with my program, I put a ton of emphasis on learning how to sell, like going bringing it back to the fundamentals. Like as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, you gotta know how to sell. I put
Yeah,
a ton of emphasis on that, um, and I think one thing is eventually it would be nice, Max, to get you out of that seat. But what's cool is you've actually built your whole agency around you're basically the number one closer. You're driving all of the revenue, and you've basically built up a team to where that's all you really need to worry about. And you're the one closing all of your own deals, which I think is smart. No one's ever going to be able to close better than the CEO of a company. The CEO, the owner,
yeah,
is always going to be the best closer um, for any given company, in my opinion. So cool, man.
yeah, dude. The
Yeah.
sales side was huge because if if you're an agency owner and you're watching this and you've just lived off of referrals, closing a referral is nothing like closing a lead from social media. Like the referral was brought to you by
Good point.
someone who you trust and they've been premeditating this sell, whereas someone who comes from social is so skeptical and they have all these questions. And yes, they're interested and they're a warm lead, but it's so different than closing based on you know, they don't know any clients you've worked with. You've really got to sell this thing and you've got to close the deal. Whereas like a referral,
Yeah.
it's just teed up for you. Like all you got to do is just basically say the price and all right, when do you want to start? And they're like tomorrow, and then you're good to go. It's so different when you're closing a
Yeah.
social media lead.
Yeah.
So
And you want referrals. Referrals are great.
yeah,
But you also want to have a paid acquisition channel outside of. You don't want to be 100% dependent on referrals. And yeah, you're
yeah,
absolutely right. It's a whole different skill set. If you're coming from referrals and you think you're going to be able to flip on paid ads and be able to close those deals effectively, it's a whole different game that you're
yeah.
playing. And there's really a lot that goes into dialing in that sales process. So, Max, man, I am super super proud of you, bro. Freaking seven figure agency owner at this point, and
Thanks, man.
man, if you surpass me, I'll be. I I think that's awesome. So I hope you do surpass me one day. I know you're looking to get to the $300,000 revenue month. So It's exciting. And if someone who's watching this, inspiring agency owner, maybe they're on the fence about joining the higher level agency program, what would you say to them? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I mean, like if I can do it, then anyone can do it. I mean,
Mm,
yeah, people might say like, oh, his dad had an agency, and like, he just learned from his dad, and his dad gave him everything. Like I said, I feel like I got way more experience and lessons learned from the coaching than I did ever from my dad. And that's not to discredit the experience I had there. It was amazing. But like I'm 23 years old, and like if I can do it, you can do it. Like there's uh there's really not much to it besides putting in the work, listening to those who have been there, and just like drop your ego and just listen to them. Like listen to Terrence.
mm,
Um,
mm,
like
mm,
by his program, it will give you a 10x result if you put in the work
mm,
because like that's literally what it did, if not more than that. Like every
mm,
thousands of dollars, every $1,000 I paid Terrence, like I got a 10x, and it's like if that were in Bitcoin, I'd make that trade every single time. So why wouldn't you do it with Terrence? Like
mm,
seriously,
mm.
like
Okay. And
make that
then,
trade, invest, and
cool.
you won't
Thank
be
you.
sorry.
Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, I did not pay Max to say that. That was a genuine answer by Max.
Yeah.
Max, one before we wrap it up here, one mindset tip. One mindset tip. If you could give one piece of advice under the mindset category to an aspiring agency owner, a guy looking to get started into entrepreneurship, into marketing, wants to start his own agency, mindset wise, what kind of advice would you give, with everything you've been through now? You're now operating at a seven-figure level. What would be a piece of advice in that department that you would give?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is like the first 6 months of starting your agency, especially if you get some momentum going, is really fun. And after the
Mm,
first 6 months, the excitement starts to go down a bit. So what I would say is like don't don't lose the fun aspect of running an agency. Like it really is so fun. Like
mm,
continue to do the things you love outside of work. Don't just like
mm,
go go dark and like kill yourself because the reason we're all starting businesses is so we can live the life that we want to and make impact like and it's hard to live the life that we want to. It's hard to it's hard to succeed in business if you're not tasting those fruits, like the fruits of your labors, if that makes sense. So have fun with it. Expect hard times. Expect clients to churn. It's just gonna happen.
mm.
Um, but just have fun with it. Keep your head up. Those who stick with it win. Those who quit early lose. That's the name of the game. So stick with it and have fun.
Love that. Love that. Well, that's all I got. Max, thanks for jumping on.